Have you ever watched a VTuber and wondered, what 40k army should they play? I have. Recently, either through games like Darktide or Boltgun, reacting to fan project Astartes, making memes, or being interested in what their fans have painted, more and more VTubers are coming into contact with the Warhammer universes like 40k. Some of them are just interested in a little look, and are about as likely to stick with 40k as they are to stick with the deep lore of Scooby-Doo after reacting to a 1-hour meme compilation.
I love how you typed out a paragraph explaining this game and everything, and I'm not gonna read it.
I don't know anything about Warhammer, I just like when things explode.
Others may want to know more and get into some part of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, the lore, the role-playing games, or perhaps the tabletop war game that started it all. But you best start believing that VTubers can be into Warhammer. You're watching one. I'm Christian von Carmian, a vampire VTuber who teaches 40k fans about VTubers and VTubers about 40k. I didn't just drop into 40k one day, I have been playing since 2nd edition in the 1990s.
I'm old, Gandalf. I know I don't look it.
I'm going to go through a bunch of VTubers that have positively influenced me and made my life a little better, and give them a recommendation for which Warhammer 40,000 faction they may like. It is the only way I know how to thank them. And we're starting with me. I have a lot of armies. On this channel I mainly talk about my growing Deathwatch army, a lot of Sisters of Battle content, and how great it is to be a Genestealer cultist. Nothing can go wrong at the end of a Genestealer cult cycle. Only glorious liberation awaits. If I was to recommend talking about another army, I would probably suggest Chaos, because the Chaos Space Marines have a lot of cultist units, a lot like the Genestealer cult. They have weird shenanigans, they have prayers to their gods, much like the Sisters of Battle do, and they can be a good mix of horde, elite, vehicles and monsters, however you want to make up the army. Now I talk about the tabletop game in detail, the meta, the tactics, how to start armies. I am the VTuber that will give you advice about Warhammer, so subscribe to me for more of that. When thinking about VTubers, let us start with the lady who is currently recognized as the most popular VTuber, Steel Rat, more commonly known as Ironmouse. For her I recommend the Death Guard. They are traitor space marines that worship the god Nurgle. In real life, Ironmouse is unfortunately a sick girl, and Nurgle gives you the option to worship them as long as you're willing to spread your diseases in exchange for being immune to any of its symptoms. While I very much doubt Ironmouse would wish her condition on anyone, the reason I picked Death Guard and Nurgle for her is because of these little gremlins, the Nurglings, and they are everywhere on the Death Guard models. These are happy little chappies just living their best lives. And Nurgle is a strange deity. Nurgle spreads disease and people die of diseases, but he is also a god of life. If you grow a mushroom out of someone's head, technically that is more life. But I had to suggest the Death Guard to Ironmouse after I heard that laugh. Nurgle loves to laugh more than any other Chaos god. And as a happy person that wants to spread infectious joy, Ironmouse is the perfect vessel. We all wish her well, and though I would love to be able to instantly make her feel better with a vampiric bite, perhaps it is best for the universe that she has a cap on her power level. ShyLily is a cat-orca hybrid VTuber covered in bioluminescent symbols. Don't look too deeply at where they are. I have listened to her talk about buying asparagus for 20 minutes. As in, that's how long I listened to her tell that story. Somehow, she made this story really interesting. It didn't get clipped, but ShyLily has a lot of positive energy and a willingness to talk candidly about her own life.
Womp womp.
She is an ocean dweller. In Age of Sigmar, one of the fantasy settings, there are sea elves called the Idoneth Deepkin. They have some models of individual fish and crabs, and they are very cute. If you hadn't guessed, this is Games Workshop being witty and making a Flounder and Sebastian like from the Little Mermaid Disney film. But that's fantasy. For a 40k army, there are not a lot of groups with the kind of positive outlook that ShyLily has, but Imperial Knights might be one of them. They have big stompy robots and honor and chivalry and want to defend the small folk. The shrimpies, if you will. If ShyLily is feeling more vengeful and wants big stompy knights to crush and maim and burn, then the Chaos Knights are also an option for her. If burning things, then we must talk about Pipkin Pippa.
Oops, I stepped in fire.
I recommend the World Eaters for Pippa. There is not a single day that she wakes up and doesn't choose violence.
I didn't need to kill you, but I wanted to.
I was tempted to also recommend Death Guard after hearing about the Vomit Draw story. Don't look it up. But the World Eaters worshipping corn, killing, maiming, they want blood. Doesn't matter whose, they're gonna get some blood.
I'm not even here for the terrorists. I'm just here to kill the civilians.
And they will run into a gun line just to make sure that at least one of the enemy dies.
Kill me. 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 Put your gun in my mouth and pull the trigger!
Doing anything other than charging is cowardice.
Blood for the blood god. Yep.
Now, Punkapoli is another chaotic rabbit. She likes fire. She's a very quick talker, a lot like me. I'm slowing down my speech a lot right now so that an international audience can understand me, as well as people not from the northeast of England.
I live in Florida, and in Florida there have been, count 'em, 2 hurricanes so far in the time that I've lived here. And I don't know if that's my doing or if Florida is just out to be destroyed. It's been pretty fun so far.
I like Lopi, and as she has appreciation for fire, I would also recommend the Sisters of Battle. She seems to like strong women. She also likes pigeons. And the doves that are flying around the Sisters of Battle can easily be painted up to be pigeons. And because of the speed at which she talks and acts, I think that the Sisters of Battle taking a more mechanized list. It's very fast, a lot of speed, get your sisters in there, pigeons everywhere. That's what I recommend for Punkapoli. For the VTubers who take a more degenerate approach, one that is not so wholesome and fire related, we have the outwardly horny and desperate Lucy Pyre. Now that is only what she looks like at first glance. Beneath that outer layer is another layer of horny, but beneath that layer is someone who wants to connect with others. I like her older outfit in some of her videos where she taught people about anime weeb things. Now I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, yep, looking at that, listening to that, that's Slaanesh. But I'm not going to recommend Slaanesh. Slaanesh is the goddess god of pain, pleasure. A lot of the deadly sins come under Slaanesh's purview. There's gluttony, there is sloth, there is vanity, and you don't even need to wear underwear to worship Slaanesh. It is entirely possible to worship Slaanesh without ever having sex. And Slaanesh is meant to be the sex god, but I wouldn't just put Lucy with the Slaanesh people. I would recommend the Dark Eldar, the Drukhari as they are now known. Despite dressing very similarly in style, the Dark Eldar are the enemy of Slaanesh and have to act all horny and violent to keep the smexy Slaanesh from stealing their souls. They do this by torturing people. I'm not saying that Lucy's streams are torture, they're very good, and I need to stop fluffing talking right now. I need to move on and talk about Projekt Melody. You see, she's already in. We have her. She has some goblins.
What did I do? Why are you clipping me?
She may have many more models that we haven't seen, considering there's a collection of Citadel paints there. Casual people tend not to buy into lots of Citadel paints, but we need a 40k army for her. Slaanesh suits Projekt Melody much better. Projekt Melody is an actress that you may have seen on Orange YouTube, but did not display the smecks. That is the Slaanesh thing. Now it doesn't have to be graphic intimacy, but I have seen Melody's on YouTube streams. By her own admission, she is not the smartest cookie, but she researches and finds things out to have more interesting streams. Knowing your own shortcomings and taking steps to adapt or fix them is the truest wisdom of all. So there are elements of the Demons of Tzeentch. Maybe she also likes fire. That seems to be a running theme for VTubers. Tzeentch has a lot of fire. And innuendo, definitely Slaanesh's thing.
I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty solid hand job. I mean, what do you think?
But I would recommend all the Chaos Demons as a faction for her. Natasha Nyanners, I remember back in 2015, there was a girl on YouTube that sang, and she had Madoka Magica wallpaper on her YouTube channel because that was a thing back then you could do. She sang very well. Then in 2020, I found a pink-haired cat who also sang very well, and that faded 2015 memory was sparked and reactivated. She is loud, she likes to play with Hot Wheel cars,
Which automobile will come out on top? Stay tuned for action.
and has great appreciation for a proper chopper.
What a Chad! Oh, can you believe this? Oh my god! Yeah, show it to me, Papa.
It has to be orcs. They have the speedy vehicles, they have the appreciation for choppers, and any kind of bladed weapon is called a chopper by the orcs. Orcs would suit Nyanners perfectly. Ah, Buffpup, we've been over this. The dogs go to the space wolves and they stay with them. Vampires and werewolves do not get along. Dokibird, very recently returned from another life. I wouldn't say she is pure chaos, but she's very enjoyable. What made me choose Chaos Space Marines for her is that she keeps having these revelations of, wait, I'm independent now. I can say this. I can do this.
Wish we had that in other similar... Wait, I can say it now. In Pokemon! Sorry, my inner filter kicked in.
That is the kind of thought process that a newly turned traitor Space Marine would have. They're getting used to being a renegade. Like, oh wait, I don't need to fill out these forms. Oh wait, I don't need to care about civilian casualties. If Space Marines do. So that is why the Chaos Marines will suit Dokibird very well. Zentreya is a red robot. Now remember that she's not an AI, there is a person behind the VTuber, not some kind of robot. I mean, the robots themselves are just a red light blink away from being pure horror. So I have to pick a faction for her that is not robots, but kind of like a robot. I have seen her gameplay, she is an excellent shot. The AdMech have some very good snipers. That would suit her well. It's just a shame that the AdMech are kind of hoardy and you have to paint a lot of them and there's a lot of detail. I don't use tech like Zentreya to sound English because voice to text, text to speech would be hard to keep up.
And easily break. Oh no. My secret is out. Now I am ruined. Oh no.
Monarch. Multiverse Monarch. Known previously as Li and Li. She sings really well, but unlike with Zentreya, we're staying very far away from tech with this one.
Oh no. Oh god! Ah! So. Oh, you didn't see anything. Ah! Oh, where's the game? No, there's no scuff. There's no scuff happening. I'm gonna go get some water real fast. Break! Come on, you're on your ending screen. Now you hear me? I know thyself, and thyself is a walking bad luck tech and everything accident charm.
And don't I know it? If you invoke her name, scuff will happen. We have to be loyalists or the Emperor will just force all of the scuff on us. And then, no offense to her, it'll become like a monarch scream. Scream, stream. But you know, I'm a much more professional streamer. Oh! That's fine. We'll be right back. Okay, maybe not a professional streamer. That was my third stream. I didn't even know how to get it beyond 480p. So no Necrons, no Adeptus Mechanicus, nothing technological that could go wrong. So I wanted to recommend Harlequins, because Monarch recently did a cover of the Kim Possible theme song, and a character in that is called Shigo. Shigo has a very good style that would look amazing on Harlequins, though I don't think she could handle painting that over and over again on a dozen models or more. Just constantly being reminded of Shigo. So how about the Ynnari Eldar? They are led by Yvraine, very nice fashion, very nice hair, very similar to Monarch's, so Monarch already has a great stand-in within this universe, and I would be happy to explain Yvraine to her further. We're going for Ynnari, that's a kind of Eldar. Eldar are like space elves. You can include Harlequins in the Ynnari army, and the Ynnari are all about rebirth. They're trying to have enough death so that their god will turn up, exist, and save them all from slowly dying out. That's what happens to elves, especially when there's a universe out there hunting them, especially one particular god. Elf souls are the tastiest. But a faction focusing on rebirth could be a nice metaphor for Li and Li becoming Monarch as a sort of rebirth as well. I thought it was profound. I don't know if she will. Numi! Akuma Nihmune, the VTuber known as Numi. I asked some Numi fans what I should include when I talked about her. See, I did do research for this, and they said she is a subby-wubby fruit kisser, specifically plums. Okay, I know a bit about Numi. I know that she's half demon, but I'm not going to recommend Chaos Demons. I know that she has excellent perseverance and is really talented, but being a bottom seems to stand out more than anything. So I've picked Imperial Guard for her. They're not bottom of league tables or anything like that, but compared to literally everything else in the 41st millennium, they are the least threatening army, the bottom of the food chain. But there's lots of them. There are a lot of Numi's fans, the Noombas, and it is through mass appeal, and therefore mass conscription, that Numi will win the day. The Imperial Guard suits her. Bao the Whale, I know her previously as being the blue one that sometimes stood next to ShyLily. Then she was the yellow one that sometimes stood next to ShyLily. Then I knew her as the friend of Numi. Then I knew her as the crazy one with the loud voice. Bao sang a song about how it's important to sing even if no one is listening. Even if the video that you're making reaches very few people, it's worth it to entertain them. That was really profound to me and helped me to take the plunge into becoming a VTuber myself, and I've not looked back. So I began to respect Bao, which was short-lived because when I look back at her, she's horny for wolves. There is no hope for her. Space wolves, she gets space wolves. They're the werewolves. She can just play with them in her own little corner. I was tempted to recommend Chaos Demons just for the pun of Bao Lacor, the shadow demon, but no. She is lost. Filian is also lost. Filian is lost is her channel name. I first saw her doing a backflip off a roof of a virtual house. She is always moving. She always has energy. And she is small. I was tempted to go with Votan, the squats, the little dwarf men, but that doesn't really match her energy. The Harlequins, with the flipping all over the place, the constant movement, the weird laughter.
So today?
Yeah, that's a Harlequin. See, many people look at VTubers and think, yep, must be Slaanesh, absolutely Slaanesh, all the way Slaanesh. But the high energy, the positivity, and knowing you're putting on a show means that the Harlequins suit the VTubers better, and they are the enemies of Slaanesh. Matara Kan is much easier to recommend for. She's a massive cockroach. Therefore, Tyranids. She wants to be the bugs, she can be the bugs. She seems to be very into Warhammer already, especially the tabletop game compared to other VTubers, so expect to see more of her in a future video. We are not done yet, but I just wanted you to know if this video does well, like 10,000 views kinda well, I will do another one with even more VTubers, more HoloLive, more Niji VTubers, whichever VTubers you like. I couldn't fit all the VTubers I know or even all the VTubers I've collabed with into this video. Comment now which other VTubers you want me to pick 40k factions for. There are many thousands of VTubers. I am the 2,420th most popular VTuber in the world. If you subscribe, that number can go up. No, down. With rankings you want it to go down. That is good. That's what we want. Down is good. Nekrolina is a necromantic cat. As a necromancer, she and I could have great fun together in the fantasy setting. Vampires and necromancers work together, but this video is more about 40k. So, for a necromancer, I would recommend the Thousand Suns. You can summon little demon minions, and yes, they are fire. every VTuber has to like fire. It's a trope we're seeing emerging. But also, the power armored suits, they don't have a space marine inside of them. It's just a spirit animating the suit, and anything that was left of the person is dust in the wind. So it has a lot of the necromantic vibes. It also has a very Egyptian style, and the Egyptians loved cats. As Nekrolina's a cat, then these Thousand Suns make perfect sense for her worshipping minions. She's a good necromancer cat girl. Ah, Prince Rin Penrose. Gender is an illusion, you see. There is only superior British culture. Darling, we are on the same page. If we're going with the sense of arrogance and superiority that is well deserved, then Rin Penrose should go with the Eldar. They are arrogant only because of how superior they are. And if you want to mix up the gender and make it a bit more indistinct or use prince as your pronoun, the Eldar can change their sex. Here's part of a story where a Dark Eldar mentions taking on a female form only in the last few decades to match their rank. In the same way as the Yasurii have warriors that are the Howling Banshees, which are traditionally female, so you become female to take on that role. There is no reason that you can't be a woman and also a prince. And the Eldar had an empire, the empire broke, and now they fly around getting rid of people before they become problems. It does sound very British. We also have Greek culture and Japanese culture in there, among other things like Australian culture where you embody the scorpion that sneaks up and kills you. Or for Rin Penrose, who has previously said,
I am a female, but I am one of the boys, because I'm one of the lads.
You could go with the Orcs for boys, boys, boys. It's still British, but the football hooligan kind of British. Hit you with a pipe while riding around on a bike and keep hitting the problem person until they go away. That's a good attitude to have. In the same agency is Coni Confetti. I have an easy recommendation. It's Harlequins again. Looking at the VTuber model, I assume she likes the style since for a corporate VTuber, you don't just throw assets together, whatever you can afford, and then call it done. This has been painstakingly chosen, and she'll have gone, yep, that's everything I like in a model. And you don't have to paint Harlequins in diamond pattern. You can paint them any way you want. Now, I haven't mentioned any male VTubers yet. So here is Paul. He's a PNG tuber, so that is still a VTuber. He's looked into Gundam, Gaslands, and 40k. I recommend he finishes the armies he has. But if I were to recommend a new army for him, Custodes. They're easy to paint because you spray them gold. And then you can paint the robes of each one in a fancy way to represent, say, characters from the series Gargoyles. Something like that. It's easy to do, and because you're not really fast, you're not going to be failing those first turn charges. Also, stop thinking Centurions are good. A Space Marine in armor inside more Space Marine armor does not make him twice as effective. That isn't how mathematics works. Tonkatsu Sinclair used to paint some Warhammer models. But whether through injury from tentacle wrangling or just IRL injury, Tonkatsu can't paint as well as they used to. So I would recommend Grey Knights. They're pretty easy to build because they have very large contact points on chunky Space Marines. They're easy to paint because you can just do it with a spray can or an airbrush, spray them silver. Honestly, that's the whole thing about the army. And if you wanted, I'm sure you could spray one of them pastel yellow, another one pink, have a couple of purple ones and a blue one, and then someone else can do any detail. Why do these sound like ponies from My Little Pony? Because Tonkatsu's co-host is colored to be like the pony Rainbow Dash. I'm sure that's the only reason, and not because they had a previous channel where they did totally legit recaps, which were very well written and a lot of fun, as they would take the simple moral and then change it up to be a more adult moral.
I don't get it, Spike. Everything used to be so simple. Me and my friends were the good guys, we'd kick the bad guy's ass, and that was that. Now it's like the biggest problems in my life are being a responsible teacher and helping my brother take care of his kid. And Spike's like, yeah, dude, that's called being an adult. Well, it's shitty. Yep, but at least at the end of it, we get to die.
They got me through some difficult work days. Thank you for them. But Dashie Li doesn't just get lumped in with Tonkatsu. As she loves Japan and the My Little Pony colours, well, she could have Tao. There are mecha suits. That's very Japanese. Each one could be painted in the colours of one of the My Little Ponies, or units could be colour-coded like that. Applejack colours for the breachers that get in there and get it done, rainbow colours for vehicles for speed, and a strike team that stays at the back in Fluttershy colours, or maybe a stealth suit in those colours, if you want to paint more than just a base. Vtuber Senpai is a VTuber that helps other VTubers, and he's helped me a lot. He hooked me up with the music that I use as an outro. He can't say my name right.
The 40k VTuber, Christian von Carmian? Von Carmian. I know I said it wrong, but I'm sorry.
But as I couldn't say Numi's name, I don't think that matters. For someone who helps VTubers start up, I recommend a Space Marine army. It's your standard go-to, my first 40k army. And there is a chapter called the Mentors chapter. The Mentors travel to other chapters, fighting in very small groups, perhaps a squad, perhaps just individuals, and they teach the Codex Astartes, a guidebook on how to fight better. It's an easy to start army, it's an easy to paint army, it's an easy to build army, and there's so many options that there's no wrong way to have a Space Marine army. Except Centurions. Squiiji is a VTuber who looks more into the cool tech developments for VTubers, and they have great advice on graphic design. Now, as a mushroom, we could go very mushroom themed, which is the goblins of Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar. So the two fantasy settings could work very well. But if we're doing 40k, I think the Necrons. They are the most techie faction, and unlike the dogmatic Adeptus Mechanicus, the Necrons are allowed to develop their technology. And because Squiiji is interested in the layering, the skin on the outside of the VTuber models, maybe the flayed ones could be a nice messy metaphor for that. Now, if you want to clip part of this video to send to your favourite VTuber on the list, you can do. Just tell them Christian von Carmian sent you, and also give them a link to this video. And if you say in the comments that I'm your favourite VTuber, I'll get emotional. Better just to drop some tip money in my digital Ko-fi tip jar. That's linked in the description along with my affiliate links where you can buy cheaper Warhammer models than going through Games Workshop. It is country dependent, but there are some pretty hefty discounts available. If you're not a VTuber or were not mentioned, I already have a choose your own adventure style video where you get to pick the faction that is best for you. Maybe I got your army wrong, and there is one that suits you better, but you'll have to click the button to find out. My darlings and viewers, have a great day of 40k.